Right now, somewhere in your mind, there is a thought running on a loop that you cannot switch off. Maybe it's a conversation from 3 days ago that you keep replaying. Maybe it's a fear about tomorrow that hasn't even happened yet. Maybe it's just noise, constant noise, and you have prayed for it to stop and it hasn't. If that's you right now, I need you to keep watching, because what I'm about to show you is not another quick tip. It's a biblical habit that doesn't just calm your mind for a moment. It retrains it permanently. And neuroscience is only now catching up to what Scripture said 2,000 years ago. Here's something almost nobody tells you in church. Your brain is not broken. It's doing exactly what it was designed to do. The problem is what you've been feeding it. Romans 12:2 says, "Do not conform to the pattern of this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind." For centuries, believers read that verse as a spiritual metaphor. Pray more, think positive, trust God. But here's what modern neuroscience has confirmed, almost word for word. Your brain physically rewires itself based on what you repeatedly think about. It's called neuroplasticity, and it means every single thought you rehearse, whether it's fear or faith, worry or worship, is literally carving a pathway in your brain that becomes easier and easier to travel. Paul didn't have an MRI machine, but he understood something science took 2,000 years to prove. Your mind is not fixed, it is trainable. And what you feed it determines what it becomes. I once knew a man named Daniel who described his mind as a radio stuck on one station, 24 hours a day, playing every failure, every fear, every worst-case scenario on repeat. He tried to will himself into peace. He white-knuckled through anxious nights telling himself to just stop thinking about it. It never worked, because willpower was never designed to fight a wired-in pattern. You cannot out-discipline a habit your brain has practiced for years. You have to replace it with a new one, deliberately, repeatedly, the same way the old pattern was built in the first place. This is where the Bible gets remarkably specific, more specific than most people realize. Philippians 4:8 doesn't just say think positive thoughts, it says, whatever is true, whatever is noble, whatever is right, whatever is pure, whatever is lovely, whatever is admirable, if anything is excellent or praiseworthy, think about such things. That's not vague encouragement. That's a filtering system, a deliberate redirection practice, given to us before neuroscience had a name for cognitive reframing. Paul was prescribing neuroplasticity training. He just called it renewing your mind. Let's talk about David for a moment, because his life shows us exactly what this looked like in practice, long before the word psychology existed. David spent years being hunted, betrayed, and terrified, and yet the Psalms are filled with a strange, repeated pattern. He names his fear honestly. How long, O Lord, will you forget me? And then, almost every single time, within the same psalm, he redirects his mind deliberately toward truth. But I trust in your unfailing love. My heart rejoices in your salvation. That shift isn't accidental. Watch it happen over and over across the Psalms, and you start to see a discipline, a practiced habit of catching an anxious thought and consciously walking it toward truth instead of letting it spiral. David wasn't suppressing his fear. He was retraining his default response to it, one psalm at a time, one honest prayer at a time. If you've ever felt like your anxious thoughts are simply who you are, permanent, unchangeable, I want you to write in the comments right now, Lord, retrain my mind. Because what I'm about to show you next is where this becomes daily and practical, not just theological. Psalm 1 gives us the actual mechanism. It says, the blessed person meditates on God's law day and night, and describes them as a tree planted by streams of water, whose roots go deep, whose leaf does not wither. Meditation here doesn't mean emptying your mind. In Hebrew, the word carries the sense of murmuring, repeating, chewing on something slowly until it becomes part of you. This is not a one-time prayer that fixes your anxiety forever. It's a daily, repeated practice, the same way a habit trail is worn into your brain through repetition, not through a single powerful moment. Consider Joshua right before he led an entire nation into an impossible battle. God's instruction to him wasn't, feel confident. It was specific and repeated. Keep this book of the law always on your lips. Meditate on it day and night so that you may be careful to do everything written in it. Notice the specificity. Day and night, not once, not when you remember. A rhythm, practiced until it becomes automatic. The exact process neuroscience now calls habit formation through repetition. Here's something that might surprise you. Gratitude functions almost identically in this process. Philippians 4:6 doesn't just say, pray about your anxiety. It says, by prayer and petition with thanksgiving, present your requests to God. Thanksgiving isn't decoration on that verse. It's mechanism. Naming what you're grateful for, even in the middle of anxious seasons, deliberately interrupts the fear loop your mind has been running and redirects your attention toward evidence of God's faithfulness. It's not denial. It's redirection, practiced on purpose, the same muscle David was training every time he moved from lament to praise within a single psalm. I want to bring you back to Daniel for a moment, the man with the mind stuck on repeat. What actually changed for him wasn't a single breakthrough prayer. It was small, unremarkable, repeated. Every morning before he checked his phone, before the noise of the day could get in first, he read one small portion of scripture and wrote down one thing he was grateful for. Some mornings it felt pointless. Some mornings his mind wandered back to the old station within minutes. But months later, without realizing exactly when it happened, he noticed his default thoughts had actually started to shift. Not because the practice was magic, but because he had spent months feeding a new pattern instead of the old one. The same way any habit, good or bad, becomes automatic through repetition. This is the part most Christians never hear preached clearly. Renewing your mind was never a single prayer away. It's not a switch you flip. It's a path you walk daily, the same way anxiety became a path you walk daily without realizing it, one repeated thought at a time, until it became your default. 2 Corinthians 10:5 says something remarkable in this context. We take captive every thought to make it obedient to Christ. Notice the verb. Take captive. Not ignore, not suppress. Capture it actively, on purpose, and redirect it. This is a discipline, not a feeling you wait to arrive. If you're in a season where your mind feels like it's working against you, I want you to hear this clearly. You are not weak for struggling with this. You are not failing spiritually because your thoughts feel loud. You are simply someone whose mind has practiced a pattern for a long time, and Scripture never once shames you for that. It simply shows you through David, through Joshua, through Paul that a new pattern is possible, and it starts smaller than you think. One verse, one honest prayer, one morning at a time. Isaiah 26:3 promises something specific for anyone willing to walk this path. You will keep in perfect peace those whose minds are steadfast because they trust in you. Not those who never feel anxious, those whose minds are steadfast, trained, practiced, fixed again and again on something steady, until steadiness itself becomes the default. So here's what I want you to do today, not eventually, today. Choose one small anchor, one verse you return to, one moment each morning before the noise gets in first, where you deliberately feed your mind truth instead of letting it default to fear. It will feel small. It will feel like it's not working for weeks. But so did every anxious pattern, before it became automatic too. If this message spoke to you today, write in the comments, Lord, renew my mind starting today. And if you know someone whose thoughts feel like they're running in circles right now, someone who needs to hear that their mind can actually change, send this video to them. It might be exactly the small starting point they need. Don't forget to subscribe so we can keep growing together in biblical wisdom every week. God bless you, my brother, my sister. Until next time.